You always I got to fix the beanie before. I mean, this is how the show's starting. But, I mean, you're already giving me the business before you even go live. Ta-da! Hey, guys, welcome to another episode of Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. Robbie Raz here with you, as always, from Cigar Federation. Logan, this is like episode 278 or something.
It's a lot.
It's something like that. John tried to tell me that we were on like episode 150 last week, but I'm not buying it.
Well, there was a couple of gems that we haven't posted on because they were just horrible. And then, so I mean, all in all, it's probably around 200 video. I bet it's in the 175.
Let's just call this episode 200, and that makes it. It's kind of exciting. We finally we finally got Pete to come on the show, and so yeah, welcome to episode 200. Woohoo!
Woo!
This is our big celebration.
Anniversary show.
Absolutely, anniversary
Make a cigar for the anniversary.
We didn't even know. We've got Pete Johnson from Tatuaje Cigars with us. Pete, thanks for taking the time, man. We appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on. It's we've been, I don't know, I wouldn't say chasing you down for about 2 years now, but
you've been on my hit list for at least a year and a half.
Yeah, you've been on.
I think Logan casually mentioned it in Germany.
I did.
This year.
Casually.
Dude, again, Logan, you look so different in video than in person.
He basically called, dude. I do, man. The camera makes me look good, but in person, I just look like a fat slob.
Yeah, you're a bit of a
look skinny in person. That's not. I don't.
Oh, really? Most people say I look skinnier on camera.
No, the camera adds what, 30 pounds?
It might be the angle.
Maybe it is the angle.
It's not the most attractive angle because my computer is a little finicky, and we won't even go there because it's whatever. But yeah, dude, yeah. I mean, we casually mentioned it, and I mean we're just honored to have you on, and I think it's gonna be a good show. So
yeah, absolutely.
Rob,
yeah,
let's do this.
I'm not really that exciting of a guy, so so hopefully there's some good stuff that you guys have to ask me.
No, you're no. Just go ahead. You're gonna talk for the next.
You're just gonna.
You didn't prepare a speech. It's 58 minutes. Go.
I got a question.
This is a speech. No, okay, go.
I got a question. Here we go.
Logan's got a question, and we've got a million audience questions, so we're not gonna have.
Pete, about I'd say a week and a half ago, you posted up something on Facebook that was very educational at different tobaccos and kind of and I know tobacco expert, but can you kind of elaborate on that for people that didn't see that and drop that knowledge on us, because I think that was quite insightful.
It was. We were talking about the veins, the center vein, right?
Right.
Yeah. Actually, that's good that you asked, because a lot of people still don't understand that picture. That picture is, I basically took away all the excess tobacco on the center veins of each cigar. So when I opened up 7 cigars. Some of them. A lot of them everybody knows, and a lot of them people smoke a lot of. But I opened up 7 cigars, took all of the main filler leaves, ripped apart the excess leaf, and just left the center vein, so I could kind of show people that veins or whatever, what people are calling stems, are part of every blend, and actually a very key component to every cigar because of structure of the cigar, flavor and strength of the cigar. So someone said, "Oh, it's not a stem, it's a vein." Yes, it's a vein. That's what I was trying to get across. But I wanted to get the point across that people keep on calling it stem. So if you need to dumb it down and call it a stem, then it is what it is. But it's the center vein of the tobacco filler leaf, and it's a key component of every cigar, not only in blend but also form and structure of the cigar. So,
I mean, on the filler leaf, and something I've learned recently is that, when you have a wrapper leaf, they take out the center vein, and typically you have 2 sides to the leaf, right? But most filler leaf is actually, you just take out the middle center vein about halfway down, so it almost looks like a V.
Yeah, and actually it's called frog stripping. With wrapper and binder, you're taking out that leaf completely. That vein completely, because you want nothing to hinder the look of the cigar. The binder is really meant to be to hold the filler together, and then the wrapper is to make it look pretty. The filler components, when you frog strip, it depends really on the size of the vein, and it also depends really on the leaf and what priming, how far up you're gonna strip out that leaf. If the vein is really thick, you're gonna go up probably pretty halfway through the center of the leaf to peel that bottom part out. But if it's like a Seiko leaf, you know, a lot of times those veins are so small, so you're ripping out very little.
Okay.
It really depends on the size. One, the size of the leaf, the size of the vein, and also the texture. So.
Of the vein itself.
Yeah.
There we go. Knowledge dropped. Rob, audience question.
No, I spotted that on Facebook, and it was about a couple weeks ago. And I thought it was really cool that you did that, because that's a constant complaint from people. Where they'll say, oh, look at all these stems I'm pulling out from my cigar. And, I mean, it really does serve a purpose. Yeah,
well, it serves a purpose, but, you know, I hate it too. You know, you're smoking a cigar and it tickles your tongue, and you're like, man, I wish that vein would be off my tongue. So you try to bite it, and next thing you know, you're biting it out, and next thing you know, you pull it out, and then you're like, okay, I just screwed up the blend a little bit. If by any chance, when you strip out that vein when you're smoking it, and you feel like you need to take it out because there's a draw issue, it usually doesn't have to do with the vein. It has to do with the buncher putting too much tobacco leaf in there. Because when you break a bunch and you replace those little broken pieces into the filler to blend the cigar and to fill the voids, sometimes the buncher might get a little too liberal and throw a little bit too much in. That's really what's causing the draw. So if you have a bad draw problem, it's usually because there's too much filler.
Yeah.
It's not because of that stem. It's, you know,
but the stem is just so tangible and easy to point at, so everybody.
No, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which really, it's frustrating for me. I mean, yeah, it's probably the ugliest part of the leaf, but it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel the same thing about Logan.
Good one, jerk.
That was too easy. That was too easy. Okay, question here, and Logan and I spotted this just before the show started. This one's from Mr. Salmon25. He says, is there anything that you consistently see in cigar shops? Because as we were talking offline, you travel a lot, and you're in shops all the time. Is there anything that you regularly see in cigar shops that drives you crazy?
Let's say both from the retailer and the customer standpoint.
Wow. Logan, I don't know if I mentioned this to you in Germany, but I wanted to do a show like Bar Rescue called Cigar Store Rescue.
You did.
Because I think there's some potential out there for greatness in a lot of cigar stores, and they're totally missing the boat because, I don't know, it could be just little things. I mean, paint your walls every once in a while type of thing. I don't know. I think the most irritating thing I ever see in a cigar store is when, the community cutter, and you see the guy lick the cigar and he cuts the cigar and he leaves it in the ashtray, and then the next thing you know, the next guy comes up and does the same thing. You're like, oh, yeah, that's not good.
That's one of those out of sight, out of mind things for me. I tend to go with my own cutter, but I've used the community cutter before, and it never occurred to me that people are.
Now you know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's like I mix nuts, dude, on the bar, man. You just don't do it.
Yeah, I need give me a fresh bowl. If I'm going to sit down at the bar and eat the snacks, I need a fresh bowl. No,
everything else in the cigar store, you see a lot of the same thing. You see a lot of the same style of people. I mean, there's always this group of guys that hangs out with each other every week, and they're all from different lives. They're all from different... And then, of course, you have you always see a card game going on, or cribbage, or some other one of those games where they're playing cards.
What is cribbage? That's the one with the little pegs that go in the piece of wood.
Yeah. For some reason, my brother knows how to play it. I have no clue how it works.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like something old women would play.
No, it really is.
Is it? Because that's what it sounds like.
I think it is.
Yeah, cribbage. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like you do that while you're knitting. I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on because that's not what anybody's here to talk about. But
cribbage.
Yeah, cribbage. Yeah, the cribbage episode.
On Cigar Chat with Pete Johnson.
The cribbage episode. Another question here. This one's from Eric Johnson. He says, "Hey Pete, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. This is, of the cigars in your portfolio, what do you think is the most underappreciated?"
Ooh.
Of all the cigars in my portfolio?
Yeah.
What's the most underappreciated? I would have to say Cab I1. Cab I1 is a brand that I've had in my lineup since 2005 or 2004 actually, and it doesn't get all the love that Tatuaje does, but it's one of those solid cigars, and I really haven't expanded it that much. It's 4 sizes, actually 5 sizes in the main line, and I have Guapos with Maduros also, so those 4 of each of those. And then I did the Lanceros in the Lancero sampler, but it's always been a classic staple for the company, and sells really well, but I think not as good as it should. I mean, now, like, everybody's coming out with a Connecticut in the last 2 years. I've had a Connecticut in my lineups for, 11 years?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's funny when you say it like that.
Maybe I should have come back out with it. Like, hey, Cab I1.
You should reintroduce it. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing impromptu 200th episode. You should do an impromptu re-release.
I think Half Wheel already wrote about it.
No, they did. Charlie's already gawking this episode. He's watching, hanging on every participle.
God bless them. They are quick with their. They are quick.
I will say that.
Go ahead, Logan.
Question. So a thought question for you, Pete, is with everything looming with the FDA, fast forward 2 years into the future, we're talking at the 2 years in the future, where is the U.S. cigar market 2 years from now?
I'm going to say that I think we're still pretty healthy. Did I lose you guys, or I lose Logan?
No, we're still there.
I don't know. I kind of might have a blind eye to a lot of it, but I'm confident that, when S-Chip came out, we all thought it was the end of the world. The sky was falling. Cigar business is going to be over as we knew it. No one's going to smoke cigars that have a 40-cent tax on every cigar added to it. And I think the cigar business is in its best spot right now as far as, consumers and manufacturers, obviously. But I don't know. I'm optimistic that we'll be great in 2 years. And if the FDA comes after us, we'll just make ourselves better. So, as an industry, it'd be nice it's nice to work with a lot of people together in the industry and not be so separated. That's a big part of what I enjoy about this industry, is that people are genuinely close. Like they actually get along with each other. I mean, of course, when they walk away, we talk shit about them. Oops, sorry. But
of course,
that's going to happen, right?
It's very true.
I have to touch. Let me rewind though to that underappreciated cigar real quick. Yep. I want to tell you that I have a lot of underappreciated cigars. Triunfador, La Riqueza, Ambos Mundos. So, I don't know.
And all those don't have the Tatuaje name on them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think we talked about that in Germany.
We did. Yeah. Because you got to realize that most people aren't nerds that smoke cigars, right? And when you see the Tatuaje name, if you don't see it, you don't know most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and honestly, I like meeting the guys that still go, I've never heard of the brand. And I'm like, okay, cool.
And you find those people.
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, it's awesome, actually. Like, it's actually kind of nice because it gives you hope that there's actually a future.
Right. There's growth. Growth potential.
That's funny. Well, we've got some questions here from folks who are not familiar with your line, and I can't find those particular questions right now.
There's
of course,
probably not too many. There's a lot of nerds in this.
Well, there's a lot of new names. It's funny you bring a guy like Pete Johnson on the show, and there's a lot of new names that pop in with questions, which is great. I've got a question here from On. And he is the resident Lancero magnate on Cigar Federation, and he says thanks for the advice on Lanceros last year. I assume that you guys chatted about Lanceros at some point.
Probably on Facebook or something.
Yeah, and he says so. His question is now between you and KC, who makes the better Lanceros?
Well, okay. I love this one between me and my brother because. Honestly, my brother doesn't have a cigar company. No, I'm kidding. I think there's a lot of dynamics between Atelier and Tatuaje that a lot of people don't know, which is Tatuaje is me doing all the work by myself. Obviously, I have a couple guys in the office that help me, run the business.
Sure.
But when it comes to deciding on new projects for Atelier, we look at it as a group. So it's my brother Casey, Sean Johnson, who everybody calls him Casper, Dan Welsh, and myself. So a lot of times what will happen is we'll brainstorm as a group, we'll come up with an idea for a blend, I'll go down to Nicaragua, put it together, and then come back and give them samples. And like next week we're all going down to Nicaragua, and there's a lot of stuff that they need to smoke. Because we do have a lot of stuff coming out this year, but it's the dynamic is it's all kind of under the umbrella of Tatuaje, but
is the parent company.
Yeah, Atelier is kind of like, for lack of better words, kind of like Oliva and then Studio Tabac.
Yeah.
Or Drew Estates and their what's their
Swisher.
Subculture Studios.
Oh.
No, not Swisher.
Swisher. So your Swisher and Atelier is Drew Estate. That's actually the analogy you should have used.
Yeah, no, I don't have Swisher money. But Lanceros, which ones are better? Man, that's a tough one. I lean a lot towards the Black Label Lancero.
That's a goodie.
In Tatuaje. I lean a lot towards the Atelier Lancero. And then one that kind of, holds a soft spot because it was my first cigar after I had kind of like a large surgery, was a La Casita Lancero. So, I don't know. Who makes the better ones? I think we both make good ones.
You were supposed to say you were either supposed to say that it's no question that you make the better ones, or you defer to your brother. I think it was just more of a tongue-in-cheek question from On, but we got. I like all the other stuff that we got to talk about there, though.
Tell him my brother's not a good dude, and his cigars aren't that good.
Okay, perfect. All right, and that's actually also been posted on Twitter already too.
Perfect.
Tweet that out.
Charlie already wrote it too. So
absolutely.
I got to feed the whole half wheel thing every once in a while. So.
You do. You have to feed the beast, man.
Feed the beast. Let's see. So we were talking about Black Label a second ago.
Yeah.
One question here from Jason Myers. Jason always asks really good questions. He says, what led you to make the Tatuaje Black Label a regular production cigar instead of limited production runs of different vitolas you were previously doing? So that's kind of a new thing for this year. It's the Black Label. Full runs on all those different vitolas. I don't remember exactly how many there were. So what's kind of the thought there?
5 total.
Okay.
Can I answer the question and see if I know the answer first?
Yeah,
before
sure.
you answer. Here's Logan's educated guess why Pete Johnson is doing what he's doing. My guess is that the FDA goes tits up is you've had the Black Label around prior to whatever the drop dead date is, 2008, 2009. And this is your way to try to build out the line where if it does go tits up, instead of having just kind of a, no, not limited production, but a low production cigar, it's something that you can have on the market that will continue if the FDA goes tits up.
That's a very well spoken answer, but it's not the correct one.
I'll take it, man.
I'll
thought about it a lot, actually.
No, Logan, we talked about this. I think last week or the week before. I don't remember when it was we talked about it, and I thought you made some good points, but apparently you're wrong.
Yeah. I actually did it because people have been we finished off the Black Label Corona Gorda, and the Petite Lancero was continuing. That was like a regular production cigar, the Petite Lancero in the black wood jar. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to change the format of the boxes so they laid down instead of standing up. And since the melamine jar was over with, I wasn't doing Corona Gorda, so I figured, okay, how can I bring back the cigar that was in the jar and also continue with the Petite Lancero? What am I going to have? I'm going to have a line of one. The Petite Lancero regular production. The Corona Gorda is not there anymore, and then the Robusto that came in the 3-pack for events is the only one out there. I'm like, okay, the Black Label that people like, and they always want it.
Yeah.
So I picked 5 sizes that mean a lot to me. Obviously, the Petite Lancero stayed. The Corona Gorda stayed. The Havana Cazadores size, which is like one of my favorite sizes of all time, reason why I have it in my line since 2003, 6 3/8 by 43, had to do that in the Black Label because I've tried it before and everybody seemed to like it. Petite Robusto, actually, someone pointed out that I actually changed the Petite Robusto size that I had at one time in the pack, and I was like, really? I did? Oh, wow! I can't believe I did that. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I meant to do that.
Yeah.
Totally by
design. Right? And then, of course, the Coho New size, which is 6.5 by 52, has always been a staple in my line. And I think Black Label needed a bigger size. And it's actually one of my favorite sizes so far in the line, smoking a lot of it. But yeah, it was really just to come out with it as a staple and not kind of put it out there every so often. I've even changed the cigar that's coming in the 3-pack. That's going to actually be a whole new cigar with a broadleaf wrapper.
Oh, wow.
With a Halloween band on it. So, yeah, same 3-pack because luckily I didn't put, Black Label on the 3-pack. So,
awesome.
You still use that stuff.
I just wanted to come out with a line. I think it was time. And, I did Veracruz after 8 years. We talked about that at the show. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just time to actually concentrate on regular production a little bit. I've always had a ton of regular production, and I've always had, additions to my lines, but I've never just said, you know what, I'm not doing any crazy limited stuff, except for, Monsters has to stay, TAA will stay, but I'm not doing any store releases this year.
That's the other thing that we talked about. Yeah, I was surprised at how candid you were with that answer. But what's the benefit of that? Because people love that stuff. I mean, that's the kind of thing that the collectors are going to run out and buy all that stuff. Obviously, the store owners are going to love it. The CQ1, which you did for Mission Pipe, that's one of my favorite cigars that you've ever made. I was lucky enough. I'm in California, so I was close enough to the Pleasanton shop to go down there and pick up a box. I still have 2 left. But,
I love that cigar, and I don't have one stick.
You don't have one?
Not one.
I've got one. If you want one, I can send you one.
Nah, dude, I have so many cigars that
it's gonna cost you, dog.
No, that was weird. I had a weird position of power there for a second.
It's kind of like wine in a sense, where I go into my wine cellar, or I go into my cigar cellar, and I look at the cigars sitting there. I have a pack that Dan from New Havana, now Dan from Surrogates Dan. Mm-hmm. Dan packed me. He vacuum sealed what he called a hunter sampler. So for Cazador, so it was each, Havana Cazador, Unico, Noea, Taino, Especial, and Reggio in that vacuum seal with a Boveda. Not even with a Boveda. It was just vacuum sealed. I haven't even opened it. He gave it to me like 8 years ago. I'm like, what am I doing holding on to this thing? I should have smoked these things. They're probably smoking phenomenal. So yeah, I just look at cigars and go, no, I shouldn't smoke that yet. You kind of do the same thing with bottles of beer.
Oh, I'm getting there. The beer thing, we were talking beer a little bit before the show. I'm actually drinking a Coronado Stupid Stout. Coronado is
fitting.
They're down past you. Have you ever been down to that area?
No, I think Sean Casper's been down there though.
Yeah.
He gets out a little bit more in California. I don't go out that much.
Yeah, well, you're too busy going everywhere else across the country.
Kind of like John Huber is to Nashville, and he doesn't leave Nashville.
Never.
I'm the same way with Los Angeles.
That's funny. I can imagine your wine cellars. You're when I follow you on Facebook and things like that, and I see some of the bottles of wine, and I'm no wine aficionado by any means. My wife is; she's a resident wine aficionado in the family, but I imagine your wine cellars is something to behold.
You know what? Honestly, man, it's I don't think it's that special. I have some, I have a couple trophy bottles in there, but honestly, I'm looking at it. That's why I keep on looking at my
it's calling to you.
Yeah, because I really wanted to get up and crack a bottle. Yeah, I have a couple trophy bottles, and some of them have been given to me. Like, I opened up a bottle of 1970 Latour the other night that was fabulous. The cork was messed up, but it did its job. It kept, air out and kept the wine from, seeping completely out of the bottle.
I saw that picture. That cork was pretty well saturated.
Oh, yeah, horrible. And but, man, it was given to me. I think actually Sean got me that bottle out of his wife's grandfather's cellar.
Oh, wow.
He's got like this super nice cellar, and I think he gave it to me as a birthday gift one year. I actually have another bottle of it.
It's awesome.
Really?
I have another bottle of it that a bunch of BOTL guys that I took down on a trip to Nicaragua. They actually
wow.
They gave me a bottle.
So how was it?
It was like so good it made me dumb. Like, I swear to God, I spent an hour trying to figure out what to write on Instagram with that picture, and I had all these like cool, like beautiful things, and then I erased it all and said, I think I opened it too soon.
That's too funny. It was so good it made you dumb. Hey guys, you're listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com. Broadcast around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network. We're here with Pete Johnson at Tatuaje Cigars, hanging out, talking about all kinds of different things. Speaking of wine, we're going to jump back into. I'm going to try to make a good segue here.
A corollary.
Back into cigars. La Mission from Atelier.
Yes.
We've got the resident. Or the requisite Lancero question, because we get Lancero. We've already had one, but we've got another one. Can you say whether you are planning a Lancero in the La Mission line?
I can say that it's for sure somewhere in the mix. But
it's for sure a possibility.
Yes.
It's in the hopper.
It's for sure a big maybe. No. We talked about it. We have a new size coming out this year. Two new sizes coming out at the trade show. One's a 6 1/8 by 52 box press or soft box press torpedo, and the other one is a 6 3/4 by 44, which is a rad size, very similar to a long Lonsdale.
Yep.
But no, the Lancero is that's a no-brainer. It's just we're trying to wait for it.
Okay.
Since I came up with so many Lanceros, we're going to let that hang for a little bit.
All right. So that sounds like maybe 2017, Logan. I don't know. I'm going to read between the lines there.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably not this year.
Close. Yeah.
Probably not this year. Well, let me ask you a question, Pete. Is that, you probably get this question a lot, but you've smoked tens of thousands of cigars. What is your preferred method to cut and light a cigar?
Okay. My thumbnail is my preferred method to cut a cigar. Of course not on torpedoes or bellicosos. That's impossible. So I do use a cutter. And most of the time I'll, a guillotine, a simple guillotine. Could be a Cigar or could be a DuPont, whatever that I have laying around. And sometimes I've actually had to use a knife because I didn't have a cutter laying around and I didn't want to bite it. Lighter, I like soft flames. But you need a torch in certain circumstances, like windy days and days on the farm, or sometimes nighttime in Esteli gets pretty windy. So yeah, I prefer a soft flame, but because I've done those projects with DuPont over the years, they send me lighters for free. That's my pay, basically. I don't get paid for that project. They send me free lighters, so I have all the lighters laying around doing nothing. Yeah, that's it.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's funny when you talk about the DuPont lighters. I know you do one every year with the Monster release, and you've already let the cat out of the bag about the Kruger release that's coming out this year. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what, this might be the one time that I actually pony up and pick up one of those lighters, because I grew up in the mid-'80s, and, I mean, Freddy Krueger I always loved those movies. I remember the first time I watched the first one, and I'll just real quick story because nobody cares, but I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I have 2 older sisters, and they had like a slumber party, and they were watching the video on VHS. And my bedroom was upstairs, and I snuck downstairs and started watching it from the stairwell. And I watched it, and I remember Johnny Depp getting sucked into the bed, and then the blood going everywhere. And I was scared to death, but I was so scared I couldn't leave. So I just kind of sat there on the stairs and listened to the entire movie the whole time when I was just a little kid. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Kruger release. I think it's about time.
This might be the first year we don't do the lighter.
Oh man. Oh. Okay, well then maybe I'll have to try to track down one of the dress
Hopes
boxes.
And dreams.
Yeah,
dashed in 10 seconds.
That's funny.
My old office on Sunset Boulevard was like literally right around the corner from that house from the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
Yeah, so it was always an attraction for movie fans that would they'd be on the TMZ bus or something going by. Hey, there's the Nightmare on Elm Street house. So.
That's so funny. I used to love those movies, and I kind of wonder what were my parents doing to let me watch that stuff at like 10 years old. But I think it was just so. I'm not big into violence and gore, but when it's so fantastical like that, I guess it doesn't really bother me.
I can't even remember the year it came out.
It was like that old. It was 84?
Shit, I was 14 years old.
I was 1 year old.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up, and maybe I will when Logan asks a question here. So I knew that I had some questions here about guys who wanted to get introduced into your line. And this one's from Jared Grillett, and I know Jared is active on Cigar Federation. He's very active. He's on all the time.
He's a just horrible person.
No, he's a great member of Cigar
He's
Federation.
From Kansas.
Logan gives him a hard time, but
he's from Kansas.
So here's the side that he's coming from. He says, I generally am more of a fan of Dominican cigars, more woody and sweet rather than leather and pepper bombs that frequently come out of Nicaragua. Which of your lines would you recommend for, I guess you could say, the non-power smoker like me?
Oh, well, then you go back to Caballo Juan, El Triunfador. Do the El Triunfador with the red band, not the one with the brown band. The brown band's the Lancero. Mm-hmm. That's got a little bit more earth character to it because of the broadleaf, but the Triunfador in the red band is it's got a little bit of creamy note, a little sweet, maybe a little bit more woody. It's a more mid-palate, medium minus as far as strength goes. That's probably the key one to jump at, but then Caballo Juan would be the second one. So
okay. Yeah, that's kind of what. Now with the Triunfador, the brown label, that was the original release, correct?
Yeah, that was the one size Lancero that is basically, this is the kind of the funny thing. People always wonder why I don't make a Lancero in the Cabe Juan Maduro. And I'm like, well, because the Cabe Juan Maduro Lancero is the Triunfador Lancero. I use that blend for that cigar really to protect the trademark and put the cigar on the market. And I didn't, at the time, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I'm going to come out with a whole nother blend, because I really was trying to plan for the full release in the red band, and that I had a specific blend in mind of what I wanted to do with that full release at Triunfador. So I needed something on the market to protect the name. I was thinking if I have a name that no one else has, I feel the need to put it out like sooner than later, because I'm afraid someone's going to use it before I do.
Somebody's going to steal it,
yeah. Not really steal it, just use it before I get a chance to use it.
Right.
Just use it. Yeah, they're not going to jump into your head and steal it. Just for reference sake, Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 1984.
There we go.
Good. Nailed it.
It was a total guess. I'm not going to take it. I mean, maybe I knew that somewhere back in the recesses here, but it was a guess. So on video, I was probably 8 years old when I saw that the first time.
I was 14.
Portions of it, anyway.
But
yeah,
I watched it. That's like, I'm trying to figure out why my parents let me.
How did I get a ticket? That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny. So you were talking about. Now, Logan and I talked about this question beforehand, and we said, you know what, this is like a Cigar Chat 101 question. But since you brought it up, I'm going to ask it. And this is another one from Mr. Salmon, and we kind of joked about it.
Why are we asking this question?
Is it Salmon 26 or Salmon 35?
25.
25. Okay.
Is this somebody you know?
No.
Well, you guessed. That was a pretty good guess then. Okay, so he says, hey, Pete, thanks for doing this tonight. When you're in the process of crafting a new cigar, do you usually blend what you want and then come up with a name after, or do you have a great idea and name and then try to blend something to that? It sounds like you might do a little bit of both.
I do mostly. I have like a name in my pocket that I want to use. I mean, like, we'll go back to Triunfador again. I had a very specific idea of what I wanted to do with that cigar. I wanted to make the mildest possible cigar I could make out of Nicaragua. So I had the name, and I went down to the factory, and I talked with Jairo, the factory manager, and basically dissected another one of my blends to pull out a little bit of the strength to come up with El Triunfador. So it was basically trial and error, tasting the Seco and Visa leaves from Jalapa and Esteli to see which kind of gave it that sweet character and also a little bit more of that creamy note. And eventually we, put together bam, 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 and that was it. The original iteration of that cigar was supposed to be made for Europe, and I used a Criollo wrapper. I ended up changing it to Habano because the Habano actually gave it more of a pleasing palate, like actually a little bit more sweetness. The Criollo actually dried your mouth out too much on that particular blend. Like, a lot of times Criollo can actually benefit a cigar, but on that particular blend, it didn't do well. I still have some of the original ones with Criollo too. I think I made a box of each.
So follow-up question, and because you went into real specific stuff with blending there.
Yeah.
And for the average guy who's watching the show and smokes 3 or 4 cigars a week, and he's just kind of maybe a new guy or whatever, what would you suggest as a good way to start developing your palate?
Honestly, smoke a lot of cigars. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. When I first started working in the industry, I was behind a counter at a retail shop, and the one thing I did was smoke a lot of cigars, and I also went through the humidor and I smelled a lot of cigars. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to smell like the different characteristics of the tobacco that they were using in them. Back then, it was a little different. Everything was more closer to a puro. There was more, more Nicaraguan, all Nicaraguans, instead of some of these blends that people are coming up with 6 different tobaccos in a cigar or whatever. Yeah, I can't say that I have like this mystical palate. I just kind of know what I want and what I like. So it's not that I'm not going into the factory to blend cigars for everybody. I'm actually going into the factory to blend cigars for myself.
That's the big secret right there. Find out what you like and go for it.
Find out what you like and stick to your guns on it. I mean, if you believe in something, I don't look back. I mean, sometimes you make a mistake and you fall flat on your face, but in the case of cigars, those cigars just don't get released. So
yeah,
that's easier.
All right. So okay, we've got
question for you. I got a quick question. Question for you, Pete. So and I'm going to butcher the name, and you're going to laugh at me, but I say Atelier. You've used San Andreas wrapper, in the La Maduro, and you've used it in the La Mission. But
no.
No?
La Mission, yes. La Maduro is Connecticut broadleaf.
Oh, it is? I thought it was San Andreas. I'm an idiot. So I got corrected. But on the Tatuaje side, you haven't really used it, other than, if I remember correctly, the Mexican experiment.
Yeah.
That was a good cigar, too.
And I have one left. Why?
I don't have any.
Why?
I've got a couple of those left, too, Pete. We could do a trade.
Let's see. Why haven't I used Mexican San Andreas? I've threatened to use it a lot of times, and I've never pulled the trigger, and I believe that I gave probably, I mean, obviously I used it on the Leatherface, and now I'm using it on Kruger. I believe that with what we did with La Mission is one of the best examples of how Mexican San Andreas can be used, but when you taste the Kruger, you're going to think differently. I believe that the Kruger blows La Mission away, and it's really the trial and error with strength levels. The key issue with blending La Mission is we always have to include Sancti Spiritus. So we make it a challenge for ourselves to always include that tobacco leaf. Whether it be wrapper, binder, or filler, we're always putting it somewhere. So that makes it a little tougher when you're trying to, do a new blend, because you always have to say, oh, I have to include that. It's like always including one leaf. Like bam, that's your rule of thumb. And if you don't use it, it kind of takes away from the whole feel of the company. With what I did with the Kruger, it's actually stronger, obviously, than the Atelier La Mission, but the balance of flavors on it doesn't seem that strong. It's a cigar that I've craved a lot since I smoked my first one, and I've only smoked 2 more after that. So I've been smoking a lot lately because it's that time of the year. So
yeah, and that's interesting that you say that. I mean, this time of year, you're coming up on you're working really hard on things for IPCPR because it's such a deadline in essence.
Yeah.
To have all these new things, and like you said, you got a bunch of irons in the fire, so you've got
San Andreas is really, back to Logan's thing. San Andreas is really tough to work with a blend. You got to be really specific on the blend so that the San Andreas doesn't overpower it.
Yep.
It's San Andreas is the same, it's broadleaf basically, just grown in Mexico. Stock cut, actually San Andreas is no longer stock cut, but broadleaf is. It's a thick texture leaf, but it sometimes has a chalky character that overpowers blends. For me, that's what I taste out of it. There's like a chalkiness that overpowers blends, and if you don't put the right blend with it, all you're going to do is taste that. You're going to be like, oh, that's San Andreas. Like, it's unmistakable. You'd rather put it in your mouth and not know what wrapper it is, and that's what I think La Mission does, and for sure what Kruger does.
I'm getting way too excited about the Kruger.
Sounds pretty awesome.
And Robbie, what you were talking about, I got a lot go. Both companies have a lot going on. It's all regular production line extensions, focusing on everything that got us here, which is core stuff and continuing to build the core lines. So.
Yeah, I like that approach. I mean, to go from, I mean, the store exclusives are great, and it's fun to try to track that stuff down, and some great cigars pop up. But that focus back to, I don't know, I don't want to say grassroots or whatever, but back to the core of what really got you here.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I'm adding a new size out of Miami this year too. That's going to be part of the Reserva line out of Miami. I'm actually making one alteration to the Reserva band for Nicaragua, and most of the stuff in Nicaragua that uses the Reserva band has broadleaf on it. So I'm actually putting the word broadleaf on those bands so people can see that it's Reserva broadleaf. And in the Miami stuff, it's just the straight up, Habano Maduro that we use. So it's it's really about expanding the core, and I still have the release of Skinny Monsters, I still have the release of the Monsters, and I still have TAA. But aside from that, I think Atelier might have a couple regionals that they're going to do, but it's really concentrating on the portfolio.
Yeah, don't forget about Pete, don't forget about the Throwdown project we talked about in Germany, because that, I'm telling you, is an amazing idea. Amazing. And when I read that on Half Wheel, my heart sank a little bit.
Yeah, I disappointed a few retailers that were in the queue already.
I was very disappointed. That's okay. Maybe next year. Maybe sometime.
Yeah, but it would be an epic hiatus, but I call it a hiatus, but I'm in no hurry to jump back. To jump back into it.
The door isn't shut, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. The thing is, it took Huber. It took so much work on Huber, and then I finally saw the light, and then nope. It would have been epic. So everyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, a project
that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen, but it's going to get you excited. So I expect you to hit up Pete on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook to let him know how bad you want the cigar. But it was going to be the Throwdown. We did that with Viaje between us and Dojo. This was going to be the My Father Throwdown between John Huber and Pete Johnson, where Logan selects a tobacco, meaning like use San Andreas or some component, and they build the best cigar they possibly can, and it's a throwdown between the two titans.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, actually.
Dude, I don't have bad ideas, Pete.
That's not true.
I don't know. I've heard some bad ideas, but that one's actually really good.
I know. Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day.
It's. Did you pick a key component in the Dojo Viaje one?
That was just Viaje. I mean, that was it. But this one I actually wanted to do San Andreas. What?
Oh, okay. So
it was two Viaje blends.
It was two different Viaje blends in the same size. For you and John, I was going to pick like something obscure, like yeah, or whatever. I mean, that would be kind of a
stack the deck.
Stack the deck a little bit.
No, can't do that.
Yeah, we can't do that. But
all right,
I got to leave something special for Atelier, and I've already stolen it from them a couple times. So.
All right, I'm going to pull this back because there's absolutely no way we could do 4 hours of a show and never get through all these audience questions.
Okay, cool.
You referenced the Skinny Monsters. There's a lot of monster questions, so we're going to kind of go in that direction.
Okay.
So Shooter wants to know when the Skinny Monsters are going to hit the market.
I'm hoping the sampler will be out sometime, I don't know, March, April, late March, early April, maybe. We'll see. There's not. That's why I'll be down in the factory 3 times before March. So.
all those flights you were booking that you were talking about as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to fit things in.
You got to get those miles up, man. You're not traveling enough.
4 million.
Crazy. So with these, tell us about the Skinny Monsters. Is the Kruger going to be included?
No, yeah.
No preview.
The Kruger might show up later because the Skinny Monsters. This is the fun part about working with three other dudes with Atelier. During our sales meeting out here, what I call a sales meeting, it's 4 dudes sitting around, drinking and smoking cigars.
Yeah.
And it's a brainstorming session.
Absolutely.
But during our brainstorming session on setting our goals for what we wanted to release and what the factory had in production for us and when we wanted these things released, Dan Welsh came up with a fun concept since he knew I was not using the wood jar that the Petite Lanceros are in for Black Label, since I'm changing that packaging. He said you should make a little, like an individual box for each monster in that same jar. So we're doing 2 releases, one of the sampler, and then we're releasing 25 count boxes of them, of each one. So it's a lot of work for the box factory because they have to mimic the style of each box of each monster. So
wow.
So you're going to get individual 25 count boxes. That way, I think the biggest complaint about Pudgies last year and the year before, whatever, people bought them and then they're like, well, I don't want to buy another sampler because I really only like the TIFF.
Right.
And you only get 2 TIFFs per box. And then the smart thing is a lot of retailers started breaking them open and selling 5-packs. And that was the whole point, is like there's going to be those people that like, I need to have the hide Petite Lancero and I don't want to buy 25 samplers to get it. So he's going to have...
It's cool you're doing it later because you can smoke the sampler, see which one you like, and then
those will be on display at the trade show. But the sampler should be out earlier, and the plan is to eventually move into a Kruger version and have add his size also in his 25 count box. But that's later, probably next year. So.
Okay.
So quick question, Pete. You've done the little monsters. You've done pudgy monsters. Now we're doing skinny monsters. Are we going to do like bulbous monsters next? Like what can you do next?
No,
well, you know what he does next. You know what he does, and there was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Pete. There's actually a question here, and I can't find it because there's a million of them. But people were asking for Lancero monsters.
Well, yeah, that was kind of like one of the ones. I mean,
the really skinny monsters.
Well, yeah, it's now that's why I did Petite Lanceros on the skinny monster, because I already had the Lancero sampler, so I thought the Petite Lancero sampler would be better. But yeah, we joked that I was going to do an A sampler.
Oh yeah, like a 9.5 by what is it?
That's
so
aggressive.
Like monsters, Monsters,
Monsters, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, big old A size. But yeah, Lancero came up, and I went with Petite Lancero. But yeah, I don't think, since these are going to be kind of like a production thing because of the 25 count boxes, they're going to be very limited because I'm not going to be able to make a lot of them with that packaging. There's going to be there's not going to be bulbous or anything else.
There should be, man.
Bulbous is just an ugly word.
Dude, I'm telling you.
What about Logan monsters?
Dude, I would be the best monster.
That's the 4x60.
If you ever make a cigar, Pete, and you call it the Husky Lancero, like a 7x43, call it the Husky Lancero, please name it after me, because that's what people call me.
I think we call it a Mancero.
Mancero.
That was my when we did Safari last year. That's the size that I did, was a 7x43, I think.
Yeah, we actually our 6 3/4 by 44 or 42, anything around that range, we call like a Mansdale.
A Mansdale.
Yeah, that was Dan's nickname for it, because everybody liked the cigar that I did from years ago that was really long and kind of like a long Lonsdale.
Let's see. Got another question here. Logan, we got, 5 minutes left?
No, we've got 2 exactly.
2 exactly. Okay. This is a question from Joel. Do you ever see Tatuaje re-releasing the older full-size monsters once you're done making the new monsters?
Once I'm done, if I can make it to 13, I don't know. Every year I decide I want to kill the monster, but if I can actually make 13 monsters, the plan is to eventually do a sampler with the originals. Obviously, it goes into the whole subject of like they won't really. The blend is the blend, but will they taste like the original? I mean, you can't unless we can travel back in time and take the new one and put it next to the Frank. There's no way. But we know the recipe, so.
You know the recipe. I actually have all of the full-size monsters, including the original Boris. And
The Boris, those are still aging beautifully.
But the wrapper on this Boris, oh man, I don't know what it exploded at some point. The wrapper is jacked up. But all the rest of them are in perfect condition. But somehow I managed to get my hands on all of them. It was when I started writing reviews, I started on cigar.com just writing stuff there. And we did a Christmas Secret Santa thing, and whoever my Secret Santa was, I can't remember his name, and that kills me that I can't, because he got me. This was the year that the Wolfman came out.
Okay.
He gave me all of the originals. He even made me like a box. It wasn't made out of cedar, but it was just like a display box. He sent it as a gift.
That's kind of cool, like a little fancy.
Yeah, it was really box. Cool. I'll photograph it and tag you in it so you can see what it was. But it included all those originals, and I've still got them.
I'll have to dig through my collection to see if I can find a single Boris.
I've got one, and the wrapper is, man, it's jacked up.
Yeah.
Let's see, Logan, we're just about out of time here, and there's so many questions.
We're pretty close. Well, there we go. We can always do it in the After Dark, son.
Yeah, we could keep Pete here for another 4 hours and still not get to all the questions. But
this is probably
so are we at kind of a wrap-up time right now, or?
Yeah, it went ding, son.
It already did. Okay.
Yeah,
Pete, seriously, man, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the candid answers to the questions. And guys, we had a ton of questions. I'm sorry to get to all of them.
I had no idea that the time went so quick, because when you get me talking, I talk. So. No,
we appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. And I mean, obviously, everybody knows where to find you. Tatuaje Cigars, Atelier Cigars. You can find, which Pete Johnson are you on Facebook? You posted about it the other day, and there's like 7 of them.
There's 2 that I am for sure, which are both with my dogs. So my dogs are my profile pictures.
Okay.
So there's Pete Hassel Johnson and then Pete Johnson Tatuaje. Those are both me. I run both of them. Tatuaje Cigars, since it used to be a personal page, they transitioned it into a fan page. I didn't do it. Facebook made me do it. My employee Tony in the office, he takes care of that page. There is a Peter H. Johnson Sr. That's my dad. We do share the same birthday.
Really?
This guy Pete Johnson that has the Tyler Durden picture.
Yeah, I'm friends with him. I think we all are.
Not me, and my birthday is not February 1st.
That's so funny. It's funny because I'm friends. I think we're friends on all your accounts.
Yeah.
Like I've got like 5 different Pete Johnsons. It's so funny. But you posted about that the other day, so I thought I would.
Yeah, there's only 2 real ones. Well, and my dad too.
That's funny. All right, guys. Thanks again for checking out another Cigar Chat. We appreciate it. Everybody in the armed forces, I say this every week. You guys are built to do something I'm not built to do. Thank you for keeping us safe and protecting our liberties around the world and keeping us safe so we can sit here and talk about cigars. I hope everybody's having a great week. Everybody stay safe. We'll catch you next week. I don't know who we have next week.
Alec Bradley.
We have Alec Bradley next week, so another good show. Appreciate that. Everybody stay safe. We'll see you next week. Find us at cigarfederation.com. All right, so now...
you fucking didn't let me do my...
I didn't. I stole it from you.
Fucker!
Pete, you said shit twice.
I did?
You did, but that was like the first one. I think you caught yourself. The second time, I don't think you noticed. But that's all right.
Yeah, I probably didn't notice.
We're going to keep John. It was when we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. He was like, "Oh shit, I was only 14." So.
Oh, okay.
But I noted it.
We don't have to call out Pete's shortcomings. Let's talk about how you fucking stole my fucking intro to this After Dark segment, you fuck stank.
Just a reminder, Pete, we are still live.
Yeah, okay.
Just not going on the Armed Forces Radio Network. People can still see us and hear us. This will also go out on our podcast. But you can feel free to say shit, bitch, cockballs, whatever. You don't have to say earmuffs or anything. We've got on iTunes, we've got the little explicit, the little red E.
That was done on purpose.
We kind of earn it here in these last few minutes. But if you are following the podcast on Facebook or on iTunes, go ahead and give us a like and give us a rating. We've got a 5-star rating, but only like 45, 55 votes, something like that, and that number could be higher. So give us some votes.
It's the highest rated cigar podcast on iTunes, son.
It's our rate. I said we got a 5-star rating, but only 58 something votes.
But that's like the highest.
There was like 300 people watching the show tonight. They can vote for our podcast.
Okay, whatever.
And I know how many people download the podcast. So just go ahead and cast us a vote. We appreciate that. Anyway, moving forward. Go ahead.
Ass. All right. So thanks to Pete and Tatuaje Cigars, we have an undisclosed amount of 3-count samplers we'll be giving away. And email me.
These are the event-only samplers, right?
I believe so, yes. So email me, Logan@CigarFederation.com. Tatuaje Cigars in the subject line, your full name and mailing address, and a statement certifying that you are old enough to buy tobacco products in your current jurisdiction. And before the show is over, we'll pick some winners.
You know what? I had a question that just popped up, and I kind of want to ask this. And we normally don't do a lot of questions in the After Dark segment. And I know, Pete, you've got a limited amount of time, so we will get out of here pretty quick. But this one's from don't say that because we'll keep you here for a long time. This one's from Chase Willingham. Chase, thanks for the question. He says, when you first started out, who were the guys you looked to as idols and or guys that kind of were mentors for you in the business?
Oh, well, I had some of the best, I think. I mean, the Fuente family, Carlito and his dad, Carlos Sr., were really kind to me. They took me under their wing. I got to hang out a lot with Rolando Reyes Sr. and Jr. for a short period, which was a lot of fun. Wow. Robbie Levin from Ashton, big mentor of mine. Wayne Suarez, who works with Fuente also. The Padron family was always really, really nice to me. I used to talk to George a lot. Lito Gomez, used to talk to his office probably every day. So that was, when I was working retail 23 years ago. But a lot of people didn't know that I actually continued working my retail job while I had my own cigar brand because I couldn't afford to do one or the other. But yeah, no, these people. So I don't know if you saw the picture on Instagram and Facebook that I reposted that someone took at someone's Sathia's wedding. It was a picture of Jaime, Pepin, Lito, George Padron, Carlito, and myself.
Wow.
Really, that's those are my teachers right there,
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was it's just nice to be included in the shot,
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when you start those names, you're going down the list. It's like, okay, it's just check marks of all like these are the godfathers of tobacco as we know it, and that's a hell of a place to learn.
I think everybody. There was a lot of tobacco guys that were idols of mine, like Frankie Neza, just knowing his history and not really knowing him, but then one day someone actually came up to me, one of the tobacco growers in Nicaragua and Ecuador came up to me and says, "Hey, the old man wants to meet you." And I go, "Who?" And they're like, "Frankie Neza." I go, "Get the fuck out of here." I go, "Why would he want to meet me?" I'm like, he goes, he smoked your cigars. He really likes what you do. And I go, "Holy shit." Okay, I mean, I got to meet him slightly, shortly before he passed, and that was kind of cool. I will say this out loud, though. I believe that the cigar that they put out with his name on it, I don't believe that he put that together. I don't, I'll call it out a little bit that I was disappointed because I've smoked Frank's cigars in the past when he was in his prime, and that tasted nothing like it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to switch gears here because I've got another question. And
Sure.
Logan, feel free to chime in whenever you want.
I'm just letting you do whatever you fucking want to do.
Cool. That's good. No, that's a good attitude to have. This is a question from Marty Messina. Marty asked a lot of good questions too, and this kind of goes back to, this has been a big topic of conversation on Cigar Federation for the past, I don't know, about 6 to 8 months. There's been a lot of craft beer talk. He says, I know Pete is involved in winemaking and some talk of fine spirits. Any chance that there will be a Tatuaje line of craft beer?
Probably not.
No?
Nope.
The funny thing is that I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe closer to 5. Thor from Cigar Press came to me and said, "Hey, you want to open up a brewery with me?" I'm like, "I don't drink beer." and then I was like, if we can do ciders, I'm all in. And then one day I have this barrel-aged Imperial Stout. I'm like, I guess I drink beer now.
You jumped right in.
Oh yeah, I was like, whoa, this is good. And after that, you see the millions of small breweries open up. You're like, it's not my field of expertise. I mean, at least I know about wine, and at least I know about tobacco and cigars. I don't really know much about beer other than knowing how to drink it. So, yeah.
Well, I will say this, and I mean, no pressure. I'm just kind of throwing my hat in the ring.
Yeah.
I did just crack open a bottle of my first home brew. So if you're looking for a master brewer, I'm just saying.
How did it go?
It went okay.
AK went fucking shitty.
No. Okay, now to say that it was a beer that I brewed, but I mean, straight out of a kit. I mean, I went with malt extracts and all that stuff. It's not full grain or anything like that. Not yet. But the clarity was good.
What did you do, IPA or something like that?
I did a brown ale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love brown ale, actually.
Yeah, and it tastes good, but it has kind of a really synthetically sweet finish. Like if you're drinking,
delicious.
Is it cloying?
Yeah, well, not cloying, but it's like if you're drinking like a diet caffeine-free Coke. You know how it's got that kind of fake taste to it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
I haven't drank one in years, but yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like whatever. It's got kind of I don't know. I let it sit in the bottle for 2 weeks after bottle fermentation, and so I'm waiting. But I've got I'm doing an IPA next, and in secondary from the IPA, I'm going to do some grapefruit in a small jug, and then I'm doing a chocolate milk stout, and in secondary, I'm going to do all kinds of crazy stuff with that. It's going to be fun. But
yeah, I mean, honestly though, if someone came to me and said, I know how to make this beer, here you go, and I go, holy crap, that's really amazing, but I have no source to get it out there and no marketing, but I know how to get it, like I know all the ways to get it in the market, I just don't know how to market it, I'd be like, shit, yeah, you need some seed money? Sure,
here's the deal. Don't talk to anybody.
Have a Tatuaje beer, you know.
Don't talk to anybody about beer for the next 2.5 years, and then we'll talk about it, because that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do it. I mean, if an investment opportunity came up where it felt right, I would probably jump into it. But I don't know.
All right.
My best investment is making my own cigars. So.
Well, let me ask you, Pete. If you're not investing in craft beer, what is something that you've always wanted to invest in that you've never pulled the trigger on?
I don't know.
Don't say the Dodgers.
How about the Rams? Now that they're from Los Angeles.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got football down there now.
We have football. Invest in. Well, I did Apple, and I sold it at $17. That was a dumb idea. Yeah, that
Hey,
was.
don't say Disney either, because that's been taken too.
No, I did Disney years ago. Sold it when it was actually making money. I've never been like a big gun person. Never been a big knife guy. I appreciate them. I have a BB gun that looks like a Beretta. You know, I have a. I mean, it so looks like a Beretta that I had to like tell the police that it was a BB gun, and I was laying on the steps while they came in to check my building one night. I was like, just so you know, I got this BB gun. It looks like exactly like a Beretta. And they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. No orange tip either, which is kind of freaky.
That's kind of weird.
That's got to be old school, man, because now they're like fluorescent green, so they don't look that way.
I bought it at a Big Five. I was very surprised.
There's a Big Five right down the street from me.
I do have another gun that actually came from a movie. My friend who directed the movie gave it to me as a gift. He's long gone, but I still have the gun, and it's kind of a museum piece for me. I don't know. Collect things that I don't know. What would you collect, Logan?
What would I collect? You know, I'm not. I mean, most people collect cigars. I smoke cigars. I'm not a big collector, but if I was going to collect anything, it would be like samurai swords.
You do seem like a samurai sword guy, and that's
like, and I'm talking like legit shit, like fucking ninja badass, like because I watched a special on the History Channel about during World War II, like officers had swords, and it was. I'm going to go on a nerd for about 10 seconds here. But anyways, every officer had a sword, and they mass-produced a lot of swords, but the families that had money had swords in their family, like passed down for 500s and thousands of years. And I can't remember it, but a lot of the swords were taken. They were once the Allies defeated the Axis powers, the Japanese had to turn in their swords. Well, they turned in swords that were like national treasures, like thousands upon thousands of years old, and they're on the black market worth millions and millions of dollars. And I want to get my hands on some. That's what I would collect.
I can see you.
There are like 20 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, you set the bar low.
So did you win the Powerball?
No, but I did play, and I don't even play the Powerball. My wife was like, "What happened, Logan? Like, I thought we were gonna win this thing." But you got to, Rob. You got to tell about your story because yours was the best.
Which one?
About the Powerball.
What about it?
Because remember you said you were like, "Oh, there's a winner from California."
Oh yeah. No, the day that the Powerball happened, I guess at like 10 o'clock, my wife was actually in the bathtub, and she got a text from her sister who lives in North Carolina, and she said, "Hey, did you guys win Powerball?" And I mean, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know, playing a video game or reading a book or something. And my wife tells me, she's like, "Hey, Savannah said that somebody in California won Powerball." And we hadn't looked, and for like a split second, I allowed myself to think about what would I do if I won Powerball. And my wife actually works for a family of high net worth, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah.
So we would at least have a good path to follow as to how to manage that money.
Do they manage their money well?
They do. They do, and they've got whatever. I'm not going to go into detail, but they do a good job with what they've done, and we would at least be put in contact with the right people as to how to manage that money and not just piss it all away. And it was a really fun like 72 seconds where I could, and there's a joke in there too, where I would just allowed myself to believe that we won. Obviously we didn't, but yeah.
I wanna find the guy who pisses away. Well, 3 people won, so it was like $300 million a piece, right?
Well, it depends on how you take the payout and all of that, but yeah, that's what you're doing.
So I want to find the guy that pisses away $300 million and just smack the shit out of him. Because if you can figure out, remember Brewster's Millions? Remember the movie Brewster's Millions? He had trouble spending $30 million.
It's a different time, my friend. It's a different time. Now, you're a little bit of a sports guy. I mean, you referenced the Rams coming to LA. Do you ever watch any of the 30 for 30s on ESPN?
Yeah, every once in a while.
If you ever watched the one Broke,
Yes.
Oh,
Alvin Iverson.
Oh,
where it's all
I
the
didn't
athletes
see it,
who
but
just
yeah.
watch that. It's
Kurt
so
Schilling's was, but Kurt Schilling actually invested in stuff, but he just made really bad
He
investments.
invested poorly. I mean,
Right. It wasn't like he just went and was it Ricky Williams was going to Cheesecake Factory and spending $5,000?
What?
Like, I want to know what the fuck you're buying in one setting at Cheesecake Factory for $5 motherfucking grand.
The one that was really
buying
interesting.
The whole restaurant dinner
basically.
or something.
Yeah, every I want to buy dinner for everybody who was here today and tomorrow and the day after. No, I don't know, but it's interesting to watch because I mean these guys. I mean they come up and everybody's telling them. I mean this is a whole separate conversation, but everybody's telling them how great they are, and then they've got all this money and it just. I mean it can go away pretty quick.
I think if I had Powerball money though, I might invest in like. I don't know. I have no clue, but I like Marc Chagall, the artist. I like his work. His one of his works is actually the label for the Mouton 1970. Of course, my birth year, and for some reason, I've been fortunate to be able to drink a few bottles of this. And I'm like, one day I'd love to own a Chagall, but I don't really want to spend the money on it.
So
I need a little bit more money.
When it comes to wine, I mean, you don't. Do you own? You don't own land and your own grapes and everything, do you?
In France, do you?
No, I literally walk in a room. They have 12 vineyards in front of me, and we start using a beaker and wine glasses, and I get pretty ripped for a couple hours.
And start spending money.
trying to figure out which one is the best blend. You know, like literally, like we sit there and go, okay, 35% of that. You know, I go through every Merlot and I go, that's the Merlot I'm using, maybe with a little bit of this Merlot, and I go, I want 30% of that, 20% of this, 15%, and I make 100%, and bam. And I think the last time I was in the room, we went back and teeter-totter between like 3 blends for like 2 hours, and I tried to spit as much as possible, but you still get buzzed. No matter what.
It's tough. It's tough. Hey, Logan, can you take over for 4 minutes? I got to pull a Gary.
You're such a fucking man.
It's empty. The bottle's empty.
You gotta get a bottle?
Yeah, no, I'll be right back.
I got a question. How does blending wine compare to blending a cigar?
I think it's very similar. I'm lucky because the Garcias give me a lot of freedom in the factory because they trust me. I'm their longest client. There aren't a lot of secrets that they keep from me when it comes to the recipes of what I use, obviously. So like when I go to the factory, I work with the chief of production, and I just tell him, hey, I need this Viso, this Seco, this Ligero, or these Visos, these binders, this wrapper. It's really just fine-tuning the choices that you have, but the wine industry and the cigar industry are so similar to me. You need to take the time to watch a documentary called Somm.
I've watched it. It's fascinating.
But did you watch Somm Into the Bottle, the new one?
No, I watched the first one where you have the 5 guys trying to become sommeliers, and they should do that for cigars.
No, you have to watch the second one,
Okay.
Somm Into the Bottle.
Okay.
You will sit there screaming at the TV going, there needs to be a cigar version of this movie. Because it's everything about it. The variables in the farm, too much rain, you get thin tobacco with less flavor. Too much rain in a vineyard, you get big grapes with too much water, it thins out the wine. Then you have to do, more saturation, more concentrated wines to get flavor, because there was too much rain in the vineyard. So cold weather, wind, all these different things, and then they talk about how many hands touch the wine before you actually drink it.
Right.
And it's exactly like cigars.
Same as cigars, yeah.
I watched it with Yanni, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so the cigar industry." And I'm like, I know, like there should be a documentary about cigars done just like this. It's really good.
I'm gonna have to watch the second one.
Blending is, for me, is identical because, listen, I don't go out. I mean, okay, I go on farms with the Garcias. I look at their tobacco in the farms. I don't see. I mean, and we see the pilones flipping, and we smell them here and there, but they're there every day doing it. I'm there once a month, and I go in a room and I go, okay, I want that Viso, and I want that Seiko, and I want that Ligero, and put those two binders and this wrapper, and I'll see how it tastes. And same thing with the wine. I go in the room and I go, I want 15% of that Merlot, 30% of that Merlot, 25% of that Cabernet Franc, and this much of this Cabernet Sauvignon and this much of this Cabernet Sauvignon, and I start adjusting the percentages until I find what hits my palate the best. And that's the same thing that goes with tobacco. You just keep on adjusting until you find something that goes, that's it. But luckily, knowing my blend, my brown label blend, I've been able to dissect it going up and down. So I can actually, replace the Viso with a different Viso, or replace the Ligero. Like Red Label
is just the Tatuaje brown, isn't it? Just with not the Ligero, right?
Yeah, Red Label is taking the Ligero down to a Viso, and that's Red Label. It's a baby brown label. Triunfador was, a perfect example of me dissecting a blend. I looked at the Red Label blend, and I wanted to go really light. So I started off with 2 different Seikos and 1 Viso. I think my toughest though, but sometimes toughest, but also it ends up being kind of, I can't overthink it, is La Verite. When I do La Verite, it was easy the first year because it was all Habano. So I just did a classic Seiko Viso Ligero blend. But when you start mixing different seed varietals and you have to use that one farm, then you're going, okay, well, maybe I should use this as a binder instead of this as a binder, and maybe I should have more Corojo in the blend, or so it's like we did a few versions this year where I took I was worried that the blend didn't have enough Corojo for La Verite. This was last year when we started putting it together, and so I took a little bit more Corojo and I put it in the blend, and it still didn't taste as good as the first one. So just for curiosity, we took the same components from a different farm to see if it worked. It made a cigar, but it didn't make a cigar that tastes like what comes off of that farm. So, and that's kind of like, Logan, I think you've heard the joke about the vineyard in France and the guy taking a tour. And guy's taking a tour of this Chateau Lafite, and the owner of Chateau Lafite is, my vineyard is the best vineyard in the world, and nothing compares. And the guy taking the tour sees the guy across the fence line and says, hey, monsieur, what's your employee doing in the vineyard today? He goes, this is not my vineyard. This is shit. And he goes, I don't understand. There's like 2 feet separating your vineyard and that vineyard. And he goes, oui, monsieur, you know the difference between the pussy and the asshole. They're so close. They're so different.
Yeah.
So it's true. I mean, that's why on farms in Nicaragua and everywhere, and I think it should be done like this everywhere. I know the Garcias do it. Everything's separated by lot. I mean, lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, lot 4, lot 5, and we know that let's say lot 7 in this farm, we can actually get better leaves out of to use as wrappers, and we don't do shade grown, so we're sorting a lot to find cleaner leaves that might have thicker veins. But for some lot on Estrella particularly has a good percentage of leaves that could be used for wrappers. So And certain lots, like lot 1, for some reason, is always really powerful.
How many acres does the Garcias actually grow tobacco on?
We were Jose Ortega and I were trying to map it out the other day when we were in Nicaragua, because acres, they have manzanas, which are their version, but
isn't
it's like
2.3?
No, manzanas are 1.67 or 1.7.
Okay.
I've read different versions of it, but usually it's about 1.67 to 1.7. But in acres, it's over 1,000 acres now.
Wow.
They have like 400 and something in Jalapa alone. A massive amount in this region called Namají, which they kind of pretty much, it's their region. It's a little town, but no one else grows out there. And then of course in Esteli they have 3 farms in Esteli, and then they have one way out in the middle of nowhere, which is I've actually never been to because it's really hard to get to. So, and it's literally like you think Jalapa's far. Jalapa's far. It's a distance far, but this one in Limay, where they grow, is in the middle of nowhere, but it's actually not as far as Jalapa, just harder to get to.
Harder to get to, yeah.
Take the chopper.
Yeah, we always joke with Martinez Cuenca that we're going to borrow his chopper.
Do it. What the hell?
That's a good dude, man. He's a real good person. A really good guy to talk to if you get the chance. Dr.
Cuenca?
Yeah, super nice.
Isn't he going to be the president of Nicaragua, or running?
I don't know. I've heard some weird rumor about maybe something along those lines.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Okay, I heard that rumor too. I was just curious.
Logan, are you breaking political news right now?
No, I've heard that, which makes sense, right? I mean, he's like I wouldn't say a national hero, but he's a very influential guy. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that. Like, it's so funny that you said it though, because I feel like I heard like some inkling of something, but I'm not sure if it's real or not. So I'd be probably pretty cool.
You know what we need to do? We need to ask Charlie, because he would know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Monado would know.
So let's see. So I came back. I got a fresh beer, so I'm good to go. We've got a few audience.
No wine.
Have you tried this?
Oh, no, I've heard about it. Death by Coconut? I've only heard about it. They make great... Actually, you know what? Maybe I have at their place in Colorado.
Yeah, and Oscar Blues in Colorado. Yeah, they're.
Yeah, we went there one night and we had a lot of beers, but I can't remember if that one was one of them.
This I can't get enough of this. It's my favorite beer right now.
Yeah.
And I just had their they did a hot box coffee porter. It was a cold brew coffee porter, and that's phenomenal too. They make some good stuff. This is a question here from Mickey, and it's kind of an offbeat question, but I'm gonna ask it. He says, Pete, I read an old interview where you were still playing music, and you said the hardest thing you ever learned how to do was to breathe while keeping the cigar in your mouth.
Yeah.
He says, what is the secret to this? He says, all I do is drool and get smoke in my eyes.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
So how do you overcome that?
You just kind of, it's really about making sure that you exhale. The problem is when you sit with a cigar in your mouth, you start thinking like, shit, I got a cigar in my mouth and I got to hold it somehow. You just kind of make sure that you exhale every once in a while. I haven't done it in a long time because when I used to golf with some friends, I would have the cigar in my mouth throughout the whole round of golf, including when I was putting. And when you're leaning down and looking at the ball, trying to putt, you're like, tough. The smoke's coming into your eyes, the drool's coming out of your mouth, so it's not easy. Yeah, I didn't do well at it when I did it on stage. I can say that.
That when you bring up golf, I'm not a golfer, but I like to golf.
Yeah, me too.
I'm horrible, but it's fun. It's an excuse to smoke. I get pick a cigar for the front 9, I pick a cigar for the back 9.
I find it the most frustrating thing in the world.
And then a post-game cigar. It makes for a fun day. But the one time that I would take the cigar out, like I'll have it in my mouth, I'm driving, if I'm going to hit something, whatever, it's not a big deal. But when I'm putting, I would always take it out. Always.
Yeah.
For some, like you were saying, the putting, it's just, I feel like I hunch over a lot more when I putt.
Yep, you do. It's a lot easier when you're standing up driving a ball because you're at an angle.
Yeah.
But when you start doing this, kind of like if you're headbanging,
like if you're playing guitar, exactly.
Yeah. I use the cigar as kind of like a pendulum. You know, it makes me swing better.
Something else to think about. So you're not focused on your swing, so it just kind of happens.
Yeah, I use the cigar to keep the center point, you know. So as long as my club follows the cigar, I'm good.
Let's see, now I have to go to the driving range tomorrow and try that out.
Can you smoke at the driving range?
There's one driving range near me that I don't know if there's, I haven't seen any signs, but I've been there a few times and there was a guy who was smoking when I was there. So I've done it a couple of times and haven't really gotten any pushback.
Yeah, it's kind of like an unspoken thing. Like we were in Madrid at Real Madrid's Bernabeu Stadium, and it was intermission, and we were all dying for a cigar. And I turned around because I smelt tobacco, and I turned around. There was a guy, old Spanish guy, smoking a Monte Cristo No. 3, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you smoke here?" And he goes, "This is Estadio Bernabeu. Of course you can smoke here." but there were signs. I found out there were signs that said no smoking, but they don't care. They just smoke. And I'm like, so we all lit up. And to see Pepin's face when he found out he could smoke, he was like his big teeth came out. He was so happy. I waited till the end of the game, but I wanted to make sure we won the game before I lit up.
That's funny. I actually my wife and I went to Madrid on our honeymoon. We did Madrid.
It's a cool city.
Madrid and Paris. Now, what is
two of my favorite?
I'm sorry?
Two of my favorite cities.
You know, we had a blast. That was the first time I'd ever traveled internationally, so it was culture shock for me. I remember when we planned. My wife is a planner. Now we'll get the travel books, and there's 7,000 little stickers where we need to go and all these different things. But we got off the plane in Madrid, and we looked at each other, and almost like, I don't know, like a movie, like comedy. We said, "Okay, how do we get to the hotel?" Neither of us knew how to get to the hotel from the airport. We went in like 5 different directions on the metro. What is the town that's outside of Madrid that you take the train to get there, and it's got all the old school cathedrals and stuff?
I don't know because I've never been there. I've been to Madrid, but I've never been outside the city.
There was God, I can't remember, and it was a horrible experience. God, I can't remember but the cathedral that was there was amazing. But I guess when you get over into Europe and you start seeing cathedrals, I'm a Catholic guy.
They all look the same.
They all kind of look the same, except for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, actually, there's one in Reims, which is in the middle of the Champagne region. Mm-hmm. It's the home of Champagne, basically. There's one there that looks a lot like Notre Dame. I think it might be around the same size. They're beautiful, and it's like you can't stop looking at them.
Yeah. When we did Paris, we were getting towards the end of the day, and my wife wanted to go up on the roof of Notre Dame to see the gargoyles and stuff. And there was a line, and I just didn't want to do it. And it was just been a long day, so I was being kind of bitchy and pissy about it. It's like, fine, okay, whatever, I'll wait. Whatever. We waited in line, and that was probably the highlight of the entire trip as far as things that we saw, was being up there and seeing the gargoyles and the bell and everything. It was really, really cool to go up there.
Yeah, I've never been up the top of it. Some of the Garcias went inside of it, inside the building. I've never been in. I just like looking at it from the outside.
Yeah.
And then I've been up in the Eiffel Tower, but I refuse to go up it again. I don't know, something about the whole line, and it's like just, I've seen the Eiffel Tower too many times. It's beautiful. Okay, I walk by it every time I go, but let's go up. Nah, I'm good.
I've
done it once.
It's kind of a one-time thing. I'm not big on heights, and so we went all the way up to the top because there's a couple of different levels that you can go to.
Yeah.
There's the level you can walk up to, and then there's the 2 different stops in the elevator. And so we went all the way up to the top, and they've got a champagne bar up there, and it's like $90 a glass or something to have some champagne on the top. And so we had one of those little flip cams. So this was 2010, so we had a flip cam, and I'm taking video of everything. And I'm cool, right? Because they've got all the fences and everything. You couldn't jump from there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And at one point, I'm reaching out, and so I've got my hands outside the fence, and I'm holding the camera and kind of looking around. And I looked at the camera and realized I didn't have the little lanyard around my wrist. So if I dropped it, it would fall. And then I started to freak out, man. Like my feet started to tingle. I had to take the thing back and like get back to a wall. It was a very weird experience, but it was. I mean. The view up there, when you can start to see the curvature of the Earth, it gets kind of strange.
It's pretty amazing. I was fortunate to be able to have dinner at the top of the World Trade Centers one time, and that was a spectacular view. But the Eiffel Tower is awesome. I just like going up it again and waiting that line. It's like waiting at in one line at Disneyland and only doing one ride the whole day. And it was like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which is not that good.
Mr. Toad's
it's not even Space Mountain. Like, it's,
dude, Space Mountain, you get to ride Space Mountain once, you're good. But,
oh, man.
The teacups, all day for the teacups, come on.
Dude, it's so funny because, like, my wife and I just went down to Disneyland in December. I'm a big Star Wars guy.
Yeah, me too.
My buddy lives down in L.A. Like, my best friend, like, I call this guy my brother. I've known him since kindergarten. He's lived in L.A. for 11 years. I've never come down to visit. So I'm like a horrible friend. He was the best man at my wedding. I've never come down to visit. And so I said, okay, we'll come down, we'll watch Star Wars, and, we'll go do Disneyland. And when the family that my wife works for found out we were going to Disneyland, they gifted us the VIP tour guide thing.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Where it gets you right to the front of everything. So in one day, we did 3 days worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so much Star Wars stuff down there, and riding. But the first thing we did, I think, was Star Tours.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we did was Hyperspace Mountain, where it's like you're flying in in some sort of Star Wars battle. It was pretty awesome.
That new one too, that they're building like this whole thing into Star Wars, which is rad.
I'm really excited.
I got a cool little piece of information about the next movie.
What is it?
You
tell us offline, maybe.
Spoil it for everybody?
Well, tell us offline. No, I saw that.
Well, you probably know it. You probably know it. It has to do with the girl.
Oh well, who her lineage is? Is she a Kenobi or is she a Skywalker and all? No, nobody else cares except for us. We'll talk about this later. But Logan doesn't care. But
I haven't even seen it.
What?
Not one. He's never seen one.
I've seen all of them except the newest one. Because, dude, when you have a baby,
she'll like it.
Dude, fucking shit. Do you realize at Target the other day, she was running up and down the aisles, pulling shit down, fucking shit up? Dude, we went to the fucking circus the other day. And we went to the fucking circus, and one of our best friends that are a couple, they have a baby. It's like 2 weeks earlier. Their baby sat there like a normal child. Callaway was jumping on my knees, throwing popcorn at people, and when it got to intermission, I'm like, fuck this shit. We're out of here. She cannot sit still. It would not work.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Sure, Rob.
You reap what you sow, my friend.
Fuck, I know. She's so much like me. Fucking horrible.
She is a mini Logan running around just wrecking shop, dude.
Dude, she is.
That's too funny,
man. That's
man.
what friends are for, right, Rob?
Yeah, that's too funny, man. That is funny.
I know, man. I know. Man, I haven't seen like the Hunger Games. I haven't seen any of these movies. Like basically the last year and a half. Movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last one either. Yeah. I see a lot of movies on planes.
Mm. Okay, so talking about Paris.
Yeah.
Have you watched Midnight in Paris?
Yes, I love it.
I love that movie.
Love it, yeah.
And I had never really been. I was the guy in high school who did just enough to get by.
Yeah,
So when I had
Not
to read
surprised by that.
yeah, no kidding, right? When I had to read Hemingway in high school, I never really did. I just kind of did enough to pass the test. But I went because of that movie, and that's the same guy who was in. He played Peter Russo the first season in House of Cards.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that was Hemingway. He was the same guy.
Oh,
I like him. He was in another one, The Strain. That was a book by Guillermo del Toro. They made a show out of that. He was in that too. But anyway, because of his performance as Hemingway and like feeling like I got to know Hemingway a little bit, I went back and read, For Whom the Bell Tolls and Old Man in the Sea and things like that. And actually, speaking of Triumphador, I have one of those Old Man in the Sea coffins.
Out of the originals, yeah.
Yeah, I still have one of those. I haven't smoked. With the blend on that on the Culebra in there, is it the same?
It's always going to be slightly different because you actually have to almost underfill the cigar.
Okay.
To be able to bend it like that. So yeah, you're never going to get the exact 100% of the blend. I mean, it mimics it as much as possible, but when you kind of don't bunch it as much, as firm,
sure, so
you can twist it, it's always going to taste different. You would probably even say that each of the Culebras taste different.
Yeah, each of the three.
Yeah, each of the three because they're bent in different ways.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they all kind of have their own little tweak to them. So,
see, Logan, you see how I did that? I brought it back to cigars.
I know. You're talking about the Old Man in the Sea?
That was pretty sweet. Go ahead.
What? Talking about? Hold on.
Old Man in the Sea, yeah.
Yeah, so, I've got one.
You have one. Have you smoked it?
No, man. And it's got the black label Lancero too.
Brown label.
Oh yeah.
Brown label. I got one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's one. There's only about 3 things in my humidor I'm actually holding on to and haven't opened, and that happens to be one of them. And an original box of Little Monsters.
I still have a box of Little Monsters. It's been opened, but it's still full.
Open. I smoke cigars. I don't collect them.
Yeah, I went through the other boxes.
Seems like you're collecting those though because you haven't opened them.
Well, it's because it's one of those things with the Old Man in the Sea. I kept it just because I knew there wasn't a lot of them, and then it's kind of been at the back of my tower, and I've just kind of forgot about it. And then I look at it, and I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm not smoking that." And then honestly, I forgot about the box of Little Monsters, and then I was cleaning up my humidor a while back, and I saw this orange thing, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I was like, "Oh, I got it."
Yeah, so, I save a library of everything we do, or not everything, but I try to save a library of a little bit of most of what we do. But the reason why I have so many cigars otherwise is because I'll go on the road with a bag full of cigars, and I'll come back with half the bag left, and I'll throw that Boveda bag in the humidor. And when I go back out, I fill up a new bag. So I have like stacks of these Boveda bags, half full, and they're all with prototypes and all these weird things. And I'm like, okay, what is that? And I'm like, luckily I've been marking the skinny monsters I had to mark because they're all the same size, and they're all different blends. So I'm like, okay, M for Mummy and W for Wolf. So I've had to revisit that stack of Boveda bags to go, okay, I need to start smoking these things.
So and I don't know, this is like asking you to pick like your favorite child. Yeah. Of the Monster releases, what is your favorite? And don't say the Kruger.
It's funny. I texted, I'm on a text chain with my brother Dan, Casper, and 2 of our sales guys, actually our 2 only in-house guys. And I said, looks like I got a new favorite.
I had a feeling you were going to go in that direction the way you talked about it, and you get a different look on your face when you're talking about it. It sounds like this one might be your favorite, but
it's good, but it's really good. But honestly, I think I still go back to Frank because it's kind of what started it all, and it's still a classic blend. And the broadleaf on there holds up to the inside strength level, and I think. But yeah, Kruger hits like a nice spot for me. I do love the Mummy too, but I think the Mummy, the big problem with the Mummy that it was so long. I think people got
they're big cigars.
Tired of smoking it.
Of the full size cigars that I've smoked, I've never smoked. I think I smoked the Dract full size. I haven't smoked the Frank.
Yeah,
I love the Dract full size. That's in my top. Because it's so on the lower note of strong. I mean, it's like more like medium, like a good solid medium. But the wrapper looks like it's going to be super strong, and you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
It's an aggressive looking cigar. I think of the full size that I've smoked, the Hyde is actually my favorite.
Yeah, I love the Hyde.
I love that blend.
I like the JV13.
You like the Powerhouse, huh?
Yeah.
I think the JV13 or the Jason, I think that one is smoking great now because it finally mellowed down a little bit. I mean, straight out the gate, you're like super punchy.
Yeah, I need to revisit that. When I smoked it, I got a lot of like a peaty note, like a Scotch peaty note.
Yeah, a little smoky.
That kind of overpowered things for me when I smoked it, and I still have. I buy a box of them every year. I buy them blind, and I say this in every time I do a review. It's one of the few cigars that when it comes out, I don't chase the dress boxes.
There's enough plain boxes out there.
Yeah, and some guys do, but for me, I mean, the cigars are the same. This year, with given that it's the Kruger, I may actually try to track one of those down. Who knows if I follow down that rabbit hole or not? I know a lot of guys do that. I mean, for me,
I fall down rabbit holes all the time with shit like that.
It happens.
Sometimes it's with wine. I mean, if I find something that I absolutely need to have, need to research. I'll start Googling everything I can find on it. Next thing you know, I'm looking up prices from all over the country. The funny thing was that Dion and I were talking via text. I was in Nicaragua. He was in Reno. And he goes, "What do you think about this wine?" And I said, "It's good, but I think this one would be better because it's actually a better price. It's got a little bit more Cab Franc. It's from a great vintage. And I think you'll appreciate the style that it has to it. It sounds like it's got a good concentration." And the other one I had just had one of, so I'm like, I didn't love it as much as I would like this. So I got on to go buy the wine. And there was like, I don't know, 3.5 cases left at the store, and it was like a $20 bottle, but a great $20 bottle.
Sure.
And I'm milling around on the website looking to see, and I'm on my iPad looking to see what else I can buy. And I go to hit, buy, and my shopping cart says that the quantities you have no longer exist.
Is Dion
in the meantime, Dion bought them all.
That's awesome.
He was on the same website.
That's funny.
K&L Wine, actually, buying the same wine. And I go, dude, you left me with like 6 bottles. Like, that's how much he left. He did like the 3 cases and left me with the 6.
He respects your opinion.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed. I'm like, I don't even have as much as he does of that wine. It's good wine. It's more of a drinker, but it's got a solid core to it. And that's kind of how, you look at some cigars that you really kind of want to smoke in their fresher stages because the core is like really plump and, for wine terms, plump and juicy. And then the next thing you know, you let it sit and age and it starts to, thin out a little bit. And you're like, wow, I didn't, get that same rich character that I got the first time.
I had that happen with a cigar recently. You know what it was?
I know which one it is.
And it was so sad, too, because the cigar was so fucking
I know
great.
Exactly what cigar you're talking about.
I know. It was...
Don't tell me.
It wasn't yours.
We've mentioned the guy already on the show.
Don't tell me. It was Mule Kick.
Yep.
Okay.
Did I tell you that?
Nope.
Did you smoke one? Have you had this? Because, dude, it's
No,
so disheartening.
I think I might have one, but I just like saying the word mule kick.
Mule kick, dude.
Dude,
So
that cigar for me, when when it first came out, I bought a box.
I
And
did too.
Logan, you did too. I remember I set you up with that.
You did. Thank you.
And the first one I smoked, I didn't like it. And then 6 months later, I thought, this is the best cigar I've ever smoked in my life. And then I saved 2 more, and I waited another year or two, and I was like, oh, God, I missed my window.
Yeah, no.
You know, sometimes the cedar on the box really plays a big part on cigars. And those cigars were unsellowed, right?
They were.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes that cedar, you know, like can really make, if it's good cedar, it can really make a cigar magical. I mean, the cedar that we use in Miami, that we've been using since day one from the same box maker, probably the most expensive box maker in the world, because he makes them in Miami with like really good wood. It imparts such a great characteristic to the tobacco that we use. It's the same tobacco we use in Nicaragua that we make our Miami brown labels with, but for some reason there's that extra hint of old school in it. And it really kind of brings you back to like a great, like a J21 for me still brings me back to a great old box of Partagas Series Ds when you could find a dark box. Right. So, and that cedar has a lot to do with it. I bet you the cedar probably had a little bit to do with it, made that, you know, give it that extra spice and flavor, and then masks that part that you hated about it originally. And maybe when you went back and revisited it, maybe there was too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, but with wine, though, at least from the minimal wine education that I've had, wines they ebb and flow. They'll go through dead periods, but then they'll come back. I don't know that cigars, I mean, tobacco doesn't necessarily do that, right? I mean, it kind of...
I think cigars go through sick periods. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. I think it's part of the great debate with cigars.
Yeah.
You know, how much cedar is too much cedar? Do cigars go through downtimes? I believe they do really when they're first freshly rolled.
Right.
And then they need to you kind of have to catch them, you know, early. For me, I do like them with the moisture content, but if it's too much moisture, you start losing the core focus of what the cigar is all about. And then when they go sit down to rest, you want to make sure you wait a little bit before you light one up again, because I believe there's kind of like that bottle shock with wine has, that there's like a shock stage with cigars for some reason.
Sure, it makes sense.
Because I've had cigars that I'm like, oh my God, this is the best cigar in the world. And actually, this is kind of a funny story. I was down in Nicaragua with a group, and I decided to take the Jekyll blend and put it in a Edmundo size, which I love the Edmundo size. And I just wanted them to smoke because I love the blend. And I'm smoking, like, I swear to God, like 5 in a row on the farm one night, going, these are so good, I love these things, and loving the whole thing. And I was going back down for another group, and I said, hey, can you put, I was going back down with Casey Dan and Casper and Dan Reeve and Thor, and I said, can you put 50 more together for me? No problem. I get on the bus from Managua to get on the My Father bus to go to the factory, and I light one up, and I'm like, this thing sucks. And I'm like, I don't remember it tasting like this. How is this freaking possible? Like, the amount of time that's been, you know, the downtime, the drying, the wicking time on this cigar was pretty much the same as the wicking time on the first one. So I'm like, maybe it's just my palate. Maybe something's off today. So I smoked another one. Same thing. I'm like, I wait another day. I give them to all the guys, and they're like, this is the cigar that you were so excited about? I go, yeah, like, I don't know what's going on with it. It seems like it's too dry today. Like, it's like drying my palate out. So I finally just go and I say to Yanni, I say, can you ask your dad to ask Jairo if everything's exactly the same that he put in the first time for me? And she calls me back. She goes, no, Jairo told my dad that one of the visos was in Desperillo, so they couldn't use it. So they switched it to a different farm. And he said Pepin got really upset with Jairo for even switching. He told him, he goes, if you're going to make the cigars for Pete, don't ever give him something that's not the right recipe. Because I was like, something's wrong with this cigar. But I mean, I was blaming myself that day. I'm like, shit. Maybe what I tasted that night on the farm was just because of the moment, and now the blend just tastes really what it really tastes like. Shit. But it had to do with one leaf, which was really funny.
That is funny. And I mean, obviously, a leaf can make a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
huge,
that was the whole story. But the moment can make a difference too.
Huge difference.
Oh man, you know what? The day I smoked the first Kruger, maybe it was just because that was a perfect moment. I don't know. Maybe
I refuse to believe that. It's going to be a great cigar. I'm excited about
it. Yeah, I've had cigars that literally have like thrown me back to like 1991 and 1992 and some of the old, cigars that I was able to appreciate and going, this is like the real deal. Like these don't get enough attention. Like this has that flavor profile. Why aren't people smoking this?
Why don't people care?
Yeah,
it's funny, and where you are and what you're doing. I mean, I can remember we took a trip. My wife and I took a trip to Ireland. My father-in-law owns some property on the west coast of Ireland, and we're standing there on his property, and it's like in this big valley, and I can see this rain coming in, and it's just everything's green, and I'm standing there, I'm smoking an añejo with about a year and a half on it.
What size?
A 48 ring gauge. I can't. It's the 48 or whatever.
Yeah,
whichever one it is. I don't remember what the name of it is. The 48 ring gauge, or 46, and I just remember sitting there like, this is the best cigar I've ever had, but it was, I mean, it's because it was the best moment. It was a great. I was standing there by myself. Nobody's bugging me. There was like cows milling about, and it was just awesome. And I can remember exactly how I felt, and like the temperature, the weather, and everything. It was great. I remember the cigars I smoked at my wedding. And I'm almost ashamed to say it was a Cigar.com Brasilia, like one of their house blends.
Hey man, you had to invest on the wedding, brother. I don't.
No, but seriously, weddings are expensive. But that they don't even make that blend anymore. And I remember, like, I was smoking that cigar, and it was kind of a perfect moment, right? It's your wedding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was smoking that with people who aren't with us anymore, and so there's a lot going on, and I'm thinking, man, I would almost literally kill for more of those cigars. And there's no way they're as good as I remember them, but that moment was so perfect that it almost doesn't matter.
It goes back to the saying, it's like, it doesn't matter what people think is the best cigar. It's what you think is the best cigar at the moment that you're smoking it. Because no one's going to ever tell you that. I mean, I love ratings, dude. I love ratings. I mean, especially when they're great. But no one can tell me that, these 2 people or these 4 people or those 6 people have a better palate than me or a better palate than you or a better palate than Logan. Our palate is our palate. I mean,
this is why there needs to be a SOM certification for cigar people.
Yeah, well, the SOM certification, there's a line in Psalm 2 and Psalm Into the Bottle, which is the second part, that is actually, I didn't realize it was said by this lady, but when I finally saw the movie, they showed who it was, and it's this teacher from UC Davis that I actually took an extension class on how to make wine from.
Right.
And she says, in the beginning of the movie, she goes, can there be any more bullshit in this industry? And I'm like, holy shit, that's the cigar industry.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's funny.
I'm telling you, Logan, when you watch this, you'll be yelling at the TV going, there needs to be a cigar version of this movie.
Oh, you're talking about
Somm into the bottle.
Okay, yeah.
The second one.
The new one, the second one.
Okay, I haven't watched either one, but I see it on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm actually enrolled to take some brewing classes in Davis this summer. I'm telling you, man.
Great school.
Tatuaje craft brew. It's just around the corner.
Yeah, those are kind of like weekend courses, or
well, they
like
have a few different things. I'm taking a weekend course, which is like their basic one.
Yeah, but
you
can go a little bit bigger too.
Absolutely, they have a professional certification course and a master brewer course, which are, I mean, we're talking about prerequisites of like calculus and microbiology and physics and all kinds of shit that I'm not ready for, but it's not that far down the line.
I'll pass.
I'm serious. I look at that stuff, and for me, like, I geek out looking at that in a way that I've never really geeked out about anything in my life, and I love cigars. So
yeah, the problem with like the teacher when I went to UC, when I didn't go to UC Davis, I took an extension course. They sent me This is how long ago it was. They sent me videotapes, VHS.
That's awesome.
But you could just
have them. I still have them too.
Just say that you downloaded it online. Nobody thinks you're that old.
And if this lady that was in Somm Part 2, Carol Meredith, if she was as cool as she was in Somm Part 2, I would have I did well. I got an A in the extension course, but at the same time I was into wine. But to watch her videos, they were so boring that I would fall asleep. I would fall asleep during them, and it was because it was very like in 1892. The Croatians started growing wine. I'm like, come on, someone didn't wait. And I would drink wine, of course, while I was watching it. But she had a great sense of humor in this Somm video. So I'm like, man, it's really all about the teacher. Sometimes you need a teacher that is really like loving what they're doing and happy to be there. And it's kind of like I'm glad I don't have to go to school anymore. But at least the school I go to now, which is the cigar school, is something I enjoy going to.
Yeah, absolutely. But you could even say the same thing when you talk about teachers. You could say you could take that same. You need to have somebody who's excited about what they're doing and really is fired up about their product. You could say the same thing about tobacconists.
True.
Yeah, I had a teacher in high school that taught Spanish. He went to Spain on a trip for vacation one year. I think like a 2-week trip to Spain, and he came back thinking that he was going to be able to teach Spanish.
That sounds like that went well.
He was enthusiastic, but I just
there needs to be a base level of knowledge as well.
Yeah,
enthusiasm only gets you so far. Absolutely. All right. I hate to pull the plug on this, but Pete, we've kept you here for about 2 hours, and
oh, good.
You've been very gracious with your time. This has been awesome hanging out with you.
I had a blast. I'm sorry to the guys who asked a lot of questions that we missed because I'm long-winded sometimes, but hopefully we covered a little bit of it.
I think we covered the bulk of it.
Thanks for having me.
There was a lot of questions here that were overlapping, and I feel like we covered a bunch of that stuff. But yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, dude.
This is like we could have gone for 4 hours. And
this year's a lot easier. I have to be home every month to do to get a shot for a condition I have, and that's always blood work, and then I get my shot tomorrow, which is actually good. We had the show today because I'm always grumpy after the shot. So I'm home at least a week a month, which is great. And then Nicaragua is the rest of my time in Miami, of course. Sure. I'm doing only a few events, and of course the trade shows. But
absolutely,
so you'll be able to catch me more this year.
Yeah, for sure. Nicaragua, because I'm going to be down there the 21st through the 27th this month.
No, actually, I'll be in Miami for a couple days for Abe's Great Smoke, and then I forgot where I am after that because I have to get ready to go to Draper's and then TAA. So,
got it.
Yeah. Kind of all mashed together, so.
Yeah, it happens. We'll track you down at IPCPR, and then hopefully we can book some time with you to do another show after IPCPR and kind of catch up on everything that's new, and
maybe a wrap up or something.
Yeah,
because there's going to be all the new cigars in the existing lines that you'll see. So
absolutely.
I think it's going to be a fun year for both companies, and just happy that both companies are doing well. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. We had so much fun. Everybody in the chat room on Cigar Federation is talking about how this is one of our best shows, and folks were saying that they were disappointed because their batteries on their laptops were running out, so they couldn't keep up with the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sorry about that, guys.
No, really do appreciate it, Pete. Thanks so much for being generous with the giveaways and generous with your time. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll figure out something next time for the giveaway thing. Maybe I'll throw in one of my DuPonts, but we'll have to figure out some way to do that.
We'll have to do something crazy. And
that's aggressive.
People that won in no particular order: Frank Halston, Tommy West, Billy Anderson, Jason Ross, Clinton Rosemeyer, Leonard H., Barry Bauman, Edward Fernandez, Sam Marlowe, Nicholas West, some guy, Matt Curvado, Michael Parentu, Stephen Gegalaface, Matt Machado, and Abe something.
Gegalaface? Did you really say
Dude,
that?
I don't know. It's something kind of like that. I don't know.
You're emailing these guys directly?
Well, they've emailed me, and I was just reading.
Oh, you have all their
names.
information?
Yeah.
These are the random winners?
Yeah.
These are the random winners. Normally we picked these an hour ago, and we just kind of got sidetracked, but that's like 18. So I got like over 100 emails, so I need to pick like 2 more people. So.
All right. So, well, if you didn't hear your name, who knows? A package may show up.
Even if you're not here, your name's on the list. Something's showing up in your door in probably about a week. So
yeah, sometimes that just happens. It's like Christmas from
exactly.
CigarChat. So. Again, Pete, thanks so much, man. It was awesome.
Thanks again, Rob. Thanks, Pete. Logan.
We're working with Casper to get those guys on as well. So that'll be. We haven't had him on. We haven't had Casper on in like 2 years.
We'd had Dan from Surrogates. We've never had him.
Surrogates Dan would be funny. My brother really has nothing to say, so you don't need him.
He has nothing to contribute.
I was messaging back and forth with Casper on Facebook, and he says that he was going to get Dan and KC to join in with him. So.
I'll say this that I joke about my brother all the time, but to watch my brother come into this industry where he knew nothing about, and literally he just listened to me and Dan, because Dan's got a lot of knowledge in his head, and then he started going. He just hit the road, started seeing retailers. I'm super proud of him. I mean, like super great guy. He is my brother, but he's still my hero, so I appreciate that. But I bust his balls all the time. So.
Well, that's the job.
And I'm the younger one. So
nice.
Even better, right?
That's awesome. That's really cool. Thanks, Pete.
But if you guys can fit in, I think, Logan, real quick, I know you want to cut this out, but you said you're away on the 21st?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Nicaragua the 21st, the 27th.
So does the show not happen?
Oh, it's happening live from Esteli on the 25th.
Yeah, we're doing a little live episode, yeah.
Oh, so who do you have on it, if I may ask?
It's just going to be us.
Well, we're going down with Drew Estate. We have a Cigar Federation Cigar Safari trip, and we're building houses for Techo for the first 3 days, and then Cigar Safari the last 3 days.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm trying to figure out a time when Casey and Dan and Casper are together.
Yeah, I sent Casper some dates, so hopefully we'll work it out.
All right. Thanks again, guys. I'm sorry to keep you guys on.
Oh, no, you're cool, man.
Thank you for hanging out with us. We had a great time. Like I said, I could keep going for another 2 hours, but I know you've got Logan's got to get to bed, I would assume, because it's getting bedtime over there. And
7 o'clock here, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's West Coast. I mean, Pete, you
time
and I.
for a bottle of wine.
I'm only 2 beers in, so I've got a couple more to go before the night.
Rob's been drinking. He's chatty as fuck right now. You can tell Rob's been drinking because he gets chatty as fuck.
Yeah, not only have I been drinking, like I'm telling you, this is my favorite. This is
Death by Coconut.
If you have not had it, you have to track it down. I don't want to say addicted because that's not the right word, but I'm very, very excited about that beer. And the Stupid Stout from Coronado wasn't bad. For a 9%, I think it could probably use some time, but it was still pretty good. But anyway, with all that being said, guys, thanks for hanging out with us for another episode of Cigar Chat. Really do appreciate your support. You can find us at cigarfederation.com. Again, give us some feedback on iTunes if you're listening to the podcasts. And next week we'll be back with Alec Bradley, so that's going to be a fun show as well. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch up with you next week. Pete, thanks again for your time. Really do appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything.
Later, homies.